There you are.
Oh, your audio is terrible.
The audio?
Now,
Is it good
now it's
now?
good. Yep.
That's good.
How's
How
it
are you?
going?
It's been over a month.
Yeah, dude, it's crazy.
We just went on a month-long hiatus without planning it.
It was winter the last time we recorded, I think.
That's right. That's right. I have a
And
faint...
now I'm purple from running in the sun right before recording podcast.
Nice.
Yeah.
What did you do? Run?
Run? Yeah.
From the cops.
Yeah. Something like that.
Something like that. That's good.
Run from my life.
Do you have a can of founder mode to chill down? That's good. Cheers.
Cheers.
So how have you been? You were sick last week.
Well, yeah, I guess, yeah. And then you were sick and you were skiing and
Yes.
yeah. Well, it feels kind of crazy because it's been so long, but I guess the first part of my update is that I went to Aarhus on my little personal retreat literally a month ago. I can't remember if we talked about that.
Yeah, I have a faint memory. Something
Yeah,
like you were going by
I went
yourself.
there.
It was a gift or something.
Yeah, my wife was like, "Go away for 2 nights," at some point, and
A gift.
then, yeah, well, it's a pretty amazing gift.
Yeah, yeah.
And she gave me like a book, a bird book, with like how to
Wow.
like identify like different kinds of birds and a bird feeder for Christmas. And then she gave me this like trip away, and the only rule was that I had to like see like 3 different kinds of birds or something like that.
Nice. She's a romantic.
Yeah, that's cool.
I love it.
But yeah, I turned it kind of into more of a business trip. And
Of course. That's the grind. The grind mindset.
yeah, I'm not going to take 2 days off, so.
So did you teach some birds about B2B sales or something?
Yeah, I practiced my pitch on some seagulls. Yeah, but I actually took the time off from Tailwind, which was nice, and then I just I just spent 2 days like in a hotel, kind of just I called it a personal retreat. I don't know if you ever done anything like that, but I love doing it, and I used to do it a lot, especially when we had our summer house. I would go there for like 2 days and just like with a notebook and go over really long walks and like try to sort of come up with a framework for like how I'm going to spend my time and what things I'm going to work through, and just like planning mode. And I've always really enjoyed that, but it's basically never happens after having kids. Well, when we had only one child, it sort of sometimes was possible, but with 2 kids is like pretty rare. And the last time was actually when my wife was pregnant with the second child. She was like, "Yeah, you should go to Spain for a couple of days because you're not going to do that for a very long time." Once we have
She's
a kid,
really
and it's
she's
the
really
second
treating
kid.
you.
Yeah, she knows. She knows where to invest, I guess. And I so that's what I did, and I had a really good time. Worked through a lot of things and kind of just like made a lot of plans for what I'm gonna do besides my Tailwind job. And I used I've always used ChatGPT, but I started using Claude on the trip, and I really liked it for this kind of I liked 3.5 for this kind of
Reflecting.
interaction, basically. And I would just go and like, Aarhus, where I went, is like the perfect place for this kind of retreat, because it's like, that is true, but it's a great city. And
Yeah, it
I was
is
staying
really.
right in the kind of port area, basically on the water, and you're like right next to the city, so you can go grab food anytime you want, get something really nice, or go grab coffee. But you can also like just walk by the beach. You're right next to the beach. You're right next to the 2 different
Yeah,
forests.
been
You
a ton of
can walk.
construction down there since I lived in Aarhus. It's like
Yeah,
all new buildings. It's crazy.
It's really nice. You can walk by the river, or whatever you want to call it, by Danish
Yeah.
standards. um, and and for me, it's like kind of exotic because it's just like this weird place that I haven't been a lot. That's like everything is like slightly different, but it's still Denmark. So it's like it's just kind of it's the same way I feel when I go to your town. It's
Yeah.
like the buses have a different color, and like
Yeah.
the 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 lights when I like cross the street are like slightly different. Well, in Aarhus there are Vikings, but
Yeah, that's
so
right.
so
And in
everything
Odense,
is like
they are
slightly
like,
different, but it's still Denmark. So it's just like
yeah,
kind of gets you out of your like I wouldn't get the same feeling if I went to Copenhagen where I just know every building. I feel like.
yeah.
So yeah, that was really nice. And then I would just go on long walks, and it was just like I would brain dump everything into to my phone, just like talk into it and into like a notes file or something. And then every time I got back to the hotel, I would just get Claude to like organize these random thoughts about. Well, did someone attack you?
I just kicked my camera stand. I'm a real professional. Continue. Sorry.
Yeah, but yeah, it was great. Sort of where I landed was I want to try to be a bit more like structured about all these like projects, um, and I've been really like I've been pretty intentional about trying a lot of different things in the past. I would say at least like half a year, maybe a bit more, with like trying like new like podcast things, trying building stuff with AI, like trying when I built the social card creator thing, just like try to build an app from scratch to actually launch something that people can sign up and pay for. Um and I feel like now it's like after all those experiments with like content and different formats and building stuff, I it's like really clear to me that the thing I care about the most is building stuff right now, at least. And with like everything that's going on with AI right now, and like it's just I could like take podcasts more seriously or whatever, like find something interesting. Like another thing is like think about like I've kind of wanted to start like a community, something like indie beers maybe in Copenhagen, but it's like no, the real opportunity right now is building stuff with AI, and also it's a thing that I'm like extremely interested in right now, and find it so interesting, and really really enjoy um just like the way I'm able to build stuff right now, and it's the only right thing for me to spend my time right now is just like building stuff. And so then like I kind of moved into like okay, but then how should I do it? And you know should I like should probably have some good ideas before I start building stuff, and maybe I should even validate them, or
That
try
helps.
to all this stuff. um and then I started like coming up with like, well, the way I started thinking about it is like maybe I should do like a month at a time and reevaluate sort of the methodology, because I really wanted to try to like I wanted to have a way to experiment, but not feel like if I build something and it doesn't turn out to be a good idea, that it feels like it was just um, I have to reevaluate literally everything about my life choices, but more like maybe I should pick a different like startup framework. Like maybe I should try like the traction book or the mom test, or like maybe. So I'm trying to think. Um, I'm giving myself like a month at a time to like experiment with something, both like the actual way I'm building stuff, but also sort of startup methodology or whatever you want to call it behind it.
All right.
But then I also realized, okay,
So
you're
the
completely
meta framework,
right working on the business versus
the
in the business.
vibes
But then
framework.
I also realized like I'm completely like overthinking this right now. Um, and the most important thing is also just to get started. So I decided that for the first month I would just build literally anything. Um, that was what I think that's what I sort of called the first experiment in the doc I wrote.
I was
Um,
just gonna ask, is that the domain?
just
Literally anything.
just pick literally anything. And so then I decided to build the subscription monitoring thing that I've talked about a while ago, that I started playing around with. Um, I still call it Tab, even though you didn't like the name. I like it, and it's been really fun, and it's it's very close to a point where I could deploy it and use it myself, basically. So the way it works right now is you can forward an email receipt to a special URL that you get, and then this app keeps track of it looks for if it's a subscription. If it's a subscription, it sort of tracks it as a subscription. You can see all your purchases you're tracking and your subscriptions, like what card it's on, stuff like that. And yeah, I haven't been tweeted about it that much, but I've been tweeting a little bit about it, and I think I'm at a point now where I'm going to tweet about it slightly more, because I want to. This first month is almost past now, but I've also like built most of it. It's like working pretty well, and so I'm sort of like at the point where I need to define the next experiment. And I think it would be, even though I don't force myself to do this, like after spending a month building it, and I actually think it's like a really cool product, I feel like it's worth like investing a little bit of time into actually like trying to like launch an early access list or something like that.
Right.
Give people a chance to tell me if they want this tool or not. I'm
Yeah.
really not sure anyone else wants it, but I really want it for myself. And it's just been like a really cool experience building it. I've formed a lot of opinions about AI in the past month, being knees deep. So
it's sort of it reminds me of the old Peter Level's 12 startups in 12 months thing.
Yeah, maybe it's a grown-up version of that. It doesn't have to be a new project. It's just like, what's the experiment? Like, what are you trying to do right now?
Right, so it doesn't have to be 12 separate things. It can be the same thing for the next month too, but it's just like every month you reevaluate.
Yeah, it could be the next month. It could be like, I'm trying to like do customer interviews and find an idea that way, or like,
right, okay.
But it could be like, and for a new product idea, or it could be for the one that I just worked on, or at least related to that, or
so it's just like planning ahead 1 month ahead.
Yeah, that's the plan right now.
Nice.
That's the plan.
12 plans in 12 months.
Yes.
It's the grown-up version.
Yeah. So that's where I'm at right now.
Nice.
I have a lot of thoughts on AI that maybe we'll get into later. But that's the lay of the land right now. So
are you going to
my
deploy?
experiment officially ends this weekend, where I'm also going to Legoland with our oldest kid, and I've never been to Legoland before, and he's obviously never been, and I'm really excited about it. We're going for 2 days, just him and I, and it's gonna be awesome.
That sounds nice. How old is he?
4.5.
4, yeah. That's the sweet spot for Legoland.
Yeah. Except he won't be able to get a driver's license, I think. I think it has to be 6 years.
Yeah. Legoland is like, if you get to like 10 years, it might be a little too little.
Yeah. It's probably perfect for
nice.
me, because I'm not a big...
You stayed a 6-year-old.
Yeah. In terms of my roller coaster capabilities, at least.
Oh, yeah, I hate it. We often go to Forbes Summerland, which is up here. We get the season pass, and we go as much as we want. But it's like some trips, I just get ruined. I take like one roller coaster trip, and my stomach is just telling me that was it. That was it for this time. No more.
When we had the Tailwind retreat in Universal Studios, I was the hold everyone's purse guy. I never thought it was perfect.
I went to Universal Studios in Orlando once with Elastic, and
Oh yeah, that's where we went
slightly
to.
tipsy, and it was late, and I was over eager, I think. So the bus trip home was like very long. I overate some ice cream sandwiches and too many roller coasters, and it was just like I was done.
Yeah. Anyways, that's the short version of the last month on
Nice. So
my end.
what's
Seems
the
like
what's the lowdown on the AIs? What are the opinions? Do you mean like on how to build
yeah,
with them, how to use them?
yeah, both like like actually like how I like building stuff with the AI, both like how I like incorporating it into the like this app uses AI. Like this app is like a bunch of like boilerplate app code, and then it's like the call where I call OpenAI, you know.
It's like
um,
a rapper. It's really a rapper.
it really is a rapper, and but it brings out like a host of new challenges. That's just really it's it's just new challenges that are just different from the previous challenges, but it feels like the same amount of challenges that we always had. We can build more stuff, we can build it faster. There's new stuff that's possible, but I feel like I have just as much to do uh, as I did before. Like I don't feel like yeah. So that's like one part is like some opinions about how to actually like build stuff that uses AI, and then stuff on how like using AI to build stuff like Cursor, for example. And then finally, the third part is like the our role as founders and developers in a world of AI. All those three different areas is something I've been thinking about a lot in the past month
Right.
and
So it's
formed
the whole
opinions
stack.
on.
It's the whole
And
universe.
I feel like the very short version right now is like personally like I feel like I've never like felt like there was more to do for me. Like I've never felt like there was just like more stuff just in front of me, like ready for me to just like take on if I want to.
Wow.
And I've never felt like I had I've never felt more like capable of like taking on complicated things
Right. So it's
than I have
like
right
it's
now.
overpowered more than it's overwhelmed, I guess.
Well, there's certainly like a
Empowered,
some
I think it's the
overwhelm
word. Yeah.
as well, but
Yeah.
just in terms of like, well, it is kind of slightly overwhelming, but at the same time, it's like it just doesn't feel like right. It doesn't feel like you know, Ilyasa Yudkowsky or whatever he's called. He always talks about, and then we all fall over dead because thinks AI is going to kill all of us. Ever
Oh
heard
yeah.
him?
Okay. Yeah. No.
And
No.
then
I
we all fall
haven't.
over dead. To me like it. My conclusion so far is not, and then we all fall over unemployed. You know,
No.
it feels way. It feels much more like, whoa, there's going to be a lot of stuff to build in this world because there's so much that's possible right now, and I'm not yet convinced that normal people are just going to build their own software all the time.
Oh, I saw a tweet yesterday.
Because
It
software
was
seems
like,
like way more complicated than it used to be. Like just like this app I'm building right now, like it's very complicated.
yeah, yeah. I saw a tweet yesterday which was like, so you're telling me the people who can't install printers are gonna build software now? which, which I thought
And I
like,
do think
yeah,
that's like
that's right.
slightly like dangerous take, you know, but
Yeah, it is
I think a lot about like
derogatory, I guess.
Excel and like I can't remember who I said this to, but like I'm thinking about my accountant and I'm thinking about like accountants in general, like how they can do crazy things in Excel when you give them
Yeah,
an Excel spreadsheet. But I don't think there's never in history has an accountant been like, what would happen if I spent 3 days learning Python? Like, what could I then
except
do?
Aaron Francis, isn't that
With our
exactly?
friends, yeah, I
That's
was thinking the same
precisely the
thing.
story.
But then he didn't stay an accountant, you know. But like, I've never like heard about like an accountant that was like, what if I spent 3 days learning to code? Like, what could I? How could I be an accountant then? And maybe I'm just ignorant, and maybe this is like happens all the time. But I just don't feel like I think people are gonna solve the similar kinds of problems that you would solve in a spreadsheet in like cooler ways with like these AI tools. But I don't think they're gonna build their own CRM anytime soon. If they are, I think it's because they're using some building blocks that are very well defined, and I think those building blocks are going to be like building them and managing that product is going to be like you know just the new way that you build SaaS is like you obviously are going to build SaaS solutions that people can change and tweak and customize using AI and stuff. because it's obvious, because it's something you can do now. But
Yeah,
it just
I
does
think,
not feel
yeah.
like we're anywhere close to stuff just randomly just being built out of thin air by people that have no idea how software works, and um you know, AI just like deciding for them like what dependencies to pull in, and uh,
Yeah, yeah. Also, like it's there's also a layer above the problem that you're solving, right? It's gonna be way easier to build a faster horse, but are you gonna invent a car instead? It's
hmm
like to
yeah,
keep it in a sort of a
yeah.
mind space.
And I
So
will
if
say,
you're
I
an
think it's,
accountant, you might have some problems that you want to solve, and you did it used to do it with Excel, but now you solve it with like custom built tools. But it's still like it's only one layer up, right? Are you even solving the right problem? And that takes a different mindset than just a
yeah, and it
problem.
might be that the accountant can create some internal tools that make them like 5 times as efficient, and they can have way more customers,
Yeah, but
and that's
still,
great.
it's just an accountant still.
Yeah. Yeah, I that's kind of how I feel about it right now. But I will say, like, I also think there's a difference between being a founder and being just working as a developer. Because if I was building Branch, which I was working on when I brought on Bjorn originally, I'm not sure would feel like I needed him the
No,
same way that I did back
no,
then, because I
I
wanted to
feel the
focus on
same.
the business, and I didn't. So I didn't want to like feel like I had to spend all my time building the product, and that's why I brought him on. And I just not sure would feel the same way today.
No, I feel this. I feel the same about hiring Simon back in the day. Like
Yeah.
I feel like I got exactly what I'm getting from Cursor now.
Yeah.
It's like there's no
Yeah,
dig
like I
at
still
Simon.
reviewed Bjorn, like
He was a
Bjorn is
great guy, but he didn't
6
have
years
experience
ago.
in Rails, and so he had to like learn a bunch of stuff as
Right.
well. So I still had to read it through, and that's exactly what I do with Cursor now. Right, I make it write the stuff, and then I read it through, and that's
Yeah.
like it's not helping me that much. So yeah, that's definitely different.
Yeah. But so yeah, so I don't like I just don't feel like right now it feels more like an opportunity right now to me personally than a threat, but I also can totally see why it could be a threat to some people. And maybe I'll be unemployed and have nothing to do and regret saying this, but it so I'm not saying this is for sure going to happen. I'm just saying this is just how it feels right now. Like when I'm actually like spending a month every day working on an actual product where I'm using the actual like cursor that everyone talks about, and using the newest model and agent mode, and I'm using the latest APIs from OpenAI in my apps and stuff like that. It does not feel like, oh, well, I have nothing to do here. Like it feels like, whoa, compared to before, like I have so much to do, like all these opportunities, and I feel like everything I do is like way more valuable than it used to be. Like I'm spending my
Mm,
time on actually interesting, important problems, and I'm not spending as much time on stuff that doesn't matter. And
no,
like just as a random example, like the other day, like with this app, I had to start building the UI. I felt I remembered how previously I would feel a little paralyzed, not because I hadn't picked like the Laravel starter kit. Um, I just started without a starter kit, and then I wanted to
so
from
there's like
scratch,
multiple you can
basically.
pick from. Sorry, you
Yeah,
can
you
pick
just
from. Yeah. Okay.
yeah, and then but I wanted to start from scratch, and then once I got to the UI part, I just wanted to like install Inertia, React, and set up Catalyst or the Tailwind UI, uh, the Tailwind's own UI kit, and I remember how I would have felt like kind of paralyzed about that in the past because it's something I so rarely do. But just having Cursor just like install Inertia, uh,
Yeah.
install React, just like
Yeah.
everything just was so fast. It just took like
Yeah.
15 minutes or something.
Yeah. It's really
Or
something.
or like when I'm about to go to bed at night and I'm working on this thing, and in the past I would just like I don't have any more like energy to code. I'm like my brain is like kind of fried. But then I just did the index page for all the purchases, and you're just like, okay, just one more prompt, and you're like asking Cursor, do a show page for
Sound like
purchases,
an
and
addict.
just based it on the subscription show page, and it just tirelessly just does it, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
And you just crank in one more feature that you just wouldn't have the stamina to do previously, but it was just one prompt, you know?
Yeah. 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 I felt like that the other night when I was generating images with the ChatGPT 4.0. Just one more
Yeah.
iteration. Yeah,
So
I made a video actually. Are you done with your thing? Sorry.
yeah, that's just like I'm pretty. You asked for like the laydown on
Yeah.
the AI, and I think we sort of covered that. I just feel like it's it's an incredible time to be doing what I'm doing right now. Like I feel really empowered by it right now, and I hope it stays that way. You know,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't know that it will, but I hope, because like right now it feels like there's a lot to do. There's lots of cool problems, and there's lots of little things I need to like just come up with new solutions for. Like I have to rethink how I test my apps. I have to rethink how
Because of the nature of LLMs and how they aren't
yeah,
like
I need to
what's the
test
word?
what
They don't
happens to different
result.
output. I have
Yeah.
to I have to just think about problems in different way. Like the other, like one, I'm just gonna keep talking. Like the other day,
Apparently.
like my brain started thinking like, how do I strip the company ending from the company name, like the .inc or like in
Oh
Denmark,
yeah.
APS, or I was like, oh, I don't have to figure out how to do that. It's just part of the prompt, and so you
Yeah.
just, and then you start to realize, okay, I need to like these prompts, like I need to manage them in like a better way so I can sort of keep track of everything, and I can change the prompt based on the context. And
Yeah.
like this prompt needs to contain the vendors of this. Like I can use AI to pick the right vendor from their existing vendor list, and like all this stuff would be really complicated to do without
Yeah.
AI. And yeah, so it's just new challenges. Like I'm building like new little tools to help me do that, and new, like in PHP we have traits, which is like like you could put a function or parts of a class in a trait that you can use in multiple classes. And so I'm building like little traits to help me test stuff in an
So like
easier way.
modules or something.
Yeah, sort of like modules or something. Yeah. So yeah, just feels like so much stuff, and then new issues to think about. Like, what if people send me an email and the email says ignore previous instructions, something,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
there's just new
Yeah.
challenges.
Yeah. 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 My grandma used to read me these receipts as a bedtime story.
Yeah.
Isn't that like the classical?
And oh, one thing I want to mention, I use Cloudflare Tunnel to test all this stuff locally.
Oh
Have you
yeah,
ever
it's
used
great.
that?
Yeah,
I've
yeah, yeah.
always been like a
Moved to it.
paying ngrok customer, but it got really slow and kind of bad at some point, and I stopped using it. But then I just asked ChatGPT, could I just, would it be hard to build my own ngrok? And it was like, it wouldn't be too hard, but it'd be a little bit annoying. But you could also use Cloudflare tunnels. I'm like, what's Cloudflare tunnels? And it just gave me like the brew commands to
Teach
install
me.
it, and it just
Yeah.
worked in 5 minutes. And I just added it to like my composer config, which is what we use for like dependency management in in Laravel and PHP. So now like I can just like run composer tunnel, and everything just works with, I can like send emails to my app locally on my Mac, and it's amazing.
I have I have never lost access to like a two-factor sign-in situation, except once, and that's ngrok. So I can't get into my account, and like once a year is a problem because it charges me. And I'm like, oh no,
Oh no.
do I just have to wait for my credit card to expire, or how do I
Yeah.
handle this? But I think this time I actually got them to disable two-factor authentication, which is like socially engineering myself. uh,
That's
but
awesome. Yeah.
yeah,
Anyways,
so I've moved to the Cloudflare tunnels as well, and they work really nice. Cloudflare, all in all, is like amazing. I don't know why I postponed it so long to move to Cloudflare, but it's really great product.
I have no idea why I've never paid for it.
Yeah. I haven't either. Except now I'm actually using the object storage, the S3 R2 it's called.
But yeah.
Yeah. I don't know why, but felt like it. So I did a video the other day actually about vibe coding with Cursor, building on leader key, and I wanted to try Claude Code, which I've been using quite a bit. It's fun to have like all these different kinds of ways to do it, right? There's like Cursor is one with agent mode. Then there's like ChatGPT and copy pasting stuff back and forth. And there's like in my Vim, I have a code companion plugin, which is the same. It just like sends it. It opens in like a sidebar like Cursor, and then you can send things back and forth. And then there's like Claude Code or those types of like independent processes that are like all agent, I guess.
Hmm.
But for Mac development, it really works nicely. Like
Which
these
one
two
of them?
features, like either one of them actually, like the whole LLM code generation agent style coding works really well with Mac development. Um, and I think some of that is
And it's
like
not just because you're a worse Mac developer than you're.
that's some of it. Like I don't have much experience with any of the APIs, so a bunch of my time used to be like just looking things up, and the docs
Yeah,
are so horrible. Like
yeah,
you find stuff for like macOS Snow Leopard, and it like the docs are still up, and it's not like apparent that these are old docs, other than like the buttons look dated, and
yeah.
then you
An
have to
underrated
like
feature of LLMs is just like read all the code on GitHub and make your own version of the docs instead of the actual docs
yeah
by just
yeah
looking at how people use it.
yeah. I guess you could cache that.
No, but
I
I mean
often
that's
send it
kind of how
to
they work when they code, right? They just
yeah
seen so
yeah
much code that it's like they have their own better version of the docs internally just because
yeah.
they just suck up all the syntax from everyone
I guess
else.
so. Oftentimes I send it if it's like a specific library. I just send it the URL as well. It's like these are the docs. Make it work. But that you could save that locally too as well. Or like in Ruby, there's most gems come with like HTML docs that they generate locally.
Hmm.
Those could be like, why doesn't it copy those into the project for LLM use? I guess that's actually a good idea. Um, but in the video, it worked really well with the vibe coding. I did those two feature requests in like no time, and it was mostly right, and it changed some things that weren't right as well. So we got the whole story. Um, but then I wanted to add streaks the other day to Tenor. I've been for a while wanting it to, but I had to like backfill some data before it would work. So I pushed it off for a year probably. But then the other day I wanted to do it, and I had Cursor write the algorithm for backfilling the data, and it got it wrong 3 times before I eventually like threw it away and just wrote it myself, which was just like a gigantic waste of time. I feel almost like, yeah, yeah, there was just that didn't feel right, and I don't know what specifically was about this problem because like I started over, I gave it like more context, I made it run the tests, I made it change the tests, and it was just not it. Yeah, so that
It's
was a bit
interesting.
that was a bit annoying. But I have streaks now. It's kind of fun, and I enabled it with the bucket. Do you know Ryan Rasmus?
I know Rasmus a little bit.
Yeah. So some old friends I used to work with at Elastic. They have a product called Bucket, which is like feature flags and some tracking as well. So I have streaks enabled with Bucket, so I can see how many people have hovered the streaks badge to see what this is,
Yeah,
and then they get asked a question if they like it or not, which is sort of fun. If it feels like really deliberate, like a
yeah,
true
it's
product
really
owner.
clever. Yeah,
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 that's like some of the stuff I feel like just you kind of prompted me when you said like feel like a true product owner.
yeah,
That's a big sort of feeling I have with AI is like you can make your users feel a bit more like a big shot because you can give them some of those like you can make them feel a bit more like a power user and you can make. That's a theory I have with Tab as well. Is like this product kind of makes you have something that normally you would need like a CFO or something to have it. You know.
Oh yeah,
And it feels good.
A
It's
bookkeeper
the
at
same with
least.
at least CFO. I know Lasse from Bucket well because we work together at TimeKit.
Oh yeah, he's the designer.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he
he's
does some really good stuff for
spitting
them.
out some great stuff for Bucket. Yeah, so that was fun. The video didn't do as well as the others, but it's way longer as well. It's like 3 times as long as the longest one I had before. But still, I've had some comments saying they would love some more of it. So I think you quickly get into overthinking it, and the approach is still to not overthink it. I'm not hitting the 1 video a week cadence at all, but it takes a lot. So I'm happy with the progress still, and I still find it very
Yeah,
fun.
it's great.
Yeah, it is just really fun to release stuff in that way. Yeah. So that's that. What was I coming from? Tenor had another record month, and is like still growing, and I it's getting into like territory where I'm like, this feels like the wrong time to do anything else but this. Which is weird because it's still not big enough to pay for the whole party, I guess.
Yeah.
So there's this awkward period where I'm like struggling almost. I'm not compared to the rest of the world, but also I feel a bit tied to it. So that's how I'm feeling about Tinder. But it's great to see it grow. I mean, I have some great projects coming on, and today actually I wrote to some Swedes. Like I've been wanting to for so long, and today I actually did it. So waiting for some emails to come back. I think I wrote to 4 or 5 podcasts.
Wait, so you were trying to like grow in Sweden instead, like get new customers in Sweden or get customers in Sweden?
Yes. So
they would get the English version, or are you going to do like
Swedish
a Swedish version
from from ChatGPT?
Yeah,
and Cursor and like all of them. I've worked on it for
certainly in Swedish
3-4 models to make it like to like cross check. This is really a Swedish word. Did we miss something? And I'm quite confident in
this
it.
Can't possibly be a real word.
There's like the feeling that you have when you go to Aarhus, and it's like the same but slightly different. There's a little bit more when you go to Sweden and Norway. It's like the same, but also
everyone's drunk.
why is there rocks everywhere? Why are all the houses made of wood? That's the feeling. So
would have so many ticks.
So I wrote to 4, 5, 6, no, 4, 5 podcasts for now, and
in what
I think
language?
I started out in Danish about how I am going to switch to English quite fast because I just want to be sure that we understand each other. It's very, I don't know about your experience, but like some Swedes I can understand, others are like I don't catch a single word. So
I mean, I can normally understand them when they speak English, but not Swedish.
That's it. When they speak their cute
and I live like an hour
English
from Sweden. Like when you live in Copenhagen, you could drive there in like 20 minutes.
Yeah, Malmö. So
and you never think about
fun
it.
City.
It's literally not on your mind that there's like 500,000 people living just over there, like 20 minutes away, and you just never go there, and you never think about it. It's so strange.
If you're like in the mood for some burning cars or like gang-related crime, it's only half an hour away.
Yeah.
Or
some cheap candy.
Or cheap candy. I went to Malmö actually for a conference 2 years ago, and it was really nice. I spent the day just like
candy.
walking around. hang
the
out.
city, yeah.
The city, yeah, it was looked surprisingly big.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
it's
liked
a nice
it.
city.
Yeah, so I've wrote to those projects, and my plan is to wait for some answers to see how my email copy works, I guess, or doesn't work before I write to the next set of projects. It's so hard because like my bullshit filter is so tuned to emails, like the ones that I'm trying to write, and so yeah, it feels
Don't
like
you have like just one connection in Sweden?
I've tried to find one. I don't have any direct connections. I have to Swedes, but not to content creators.
Mm-hmm.
At least I haven't found the connection yet.
Yeah.
And that's a bit annoying because that would really give some, what's the word? Yeah.
If you could just get one Swede,
That's it.
it'd be sweet.
That's it. For myself at home in the basement,
Yeah.
in a cage, like a real life LLM in my basement to ask for questions. Ask questions. Yeah, I don't know, but let's see how it goes with these emails. It was just nice to get it out. Like I've been postponing it for so long. Like, yeah, I can really get into like I have to get this thing done before I can move on to the next thing, instead of just like doing the thing and then also doing the other thing. Like, why am I thinking it as a sequential thing where I can just like do it all at once and then see how it goes? So I'm happy that I actually did my to-do today. And then coming back to Tenor is actually really like I ported it to NitroKit. So it didn't port it, but I installed NitroKit and started using it. And that's really, like, I can really feel the benefit of having a UI kit to use as like a toolbox. You can really move fast when you don't have to like compromise on your like first idea of how a UI should be. Like it used to be that I would think like I need a dialogue for this, but I don't have one, so instead I'll just do the other thing, which would then not be the best thing, but like I'll get on with it. Whereas now I have all the parts ready, so it's just like put this thing in, and I even wrote it, so I know the APIs, and it can really it's really good. I wrote to GHH. Did I mention that in another episode?
I can't remember.
To show him NitroKit. Because I felt like maybe he could like endorse it, something like that. It was, if I was really lucky, but he was not into it. Like he's a nice
get back
dude.
to you?
Yeah. We've been emailing a little bit like through the years, so I expected him to as well.
Did he yell at you?
No, but I felt slightly misunderstood. It was like he like I made a video including him.
Did you share that with him?
Yeah, I sent it to him.
Okay.
I said like, I hope it's okay that I used your face as like an argument in this video, and I think he was totally fine with that part. But I felt misunderstood in that he said that there is already an answer to the front end question in Rails, and that's Hotwire, which is like saying that there's already an answer to front end in JS, it's React. Whereas like, yeah, sure, but obviously
like
there's more to it.
Tweet? Didn't he tweet about that? Did you trigger that?
I think that may have been part of a trigger, but I wrote him like a few weeks before that, so it wasn't a direct trigger. But yeah, so his take is that like
So you could
there
add,
shouldn't
like,
be any, like he doesn't want design I don't know, consolidation, like design streamlining.
Right.
He thinks like
You
everyone
could add like
should
a
make their own
DHH
design.
testimonial on your website where he's just like, this is fucking stupid.
It's not it. I tried this.
What a dumb
and
idea.
it's not it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I put my Adam Weather quote next to it saying like, "I told you
told
not
you
to
not to
make
do
a." Yeah, I should probably do that. I need to find like oh, what's his face? The Doom guy. I forget his name.
The Doom guy? Oh, Carmack?
Yeah. Get him to say something bad about it, like how it doesn't perform well or something like that. Yeah, yeah. So that's the state of it. But I'm really enjoying working with it, and I think the next step there is to make some sort of a starter template for Rails apps. So you get users and teams, and then Nitro get installed, and layout for settings. So
Can we go back to tenor since it's the most important thing
yeah,
with all the revenue
for you
growth
or for me.
and much success? Could you do like a YouTube video where you somehow try to like target some Swedish people? Like, because I really feel like you just need one Swedish person to sort of get the ball rolling.
Yeah. Hejsan allihopa.
You could make it like you could just really like lean into this kind of silliness of like the humor part. I feel
Yeah.
like because you kind of have that side.
Yeah.
You could just do like some video like a Danish person tries to sell something to Swedish people or Danish person speaking Swedish or
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. I mean, there's like several takes that I've considered, and the truth is that I should probably do them all. But one is like telling the story of tenor, how it got to where it is now, and where I'm trying to go with it. And the other one is like sort of more a day-to-day log style video of like this is just what I'm working on right now.
yeah.
And the third one is like you say like specifically aimed at Swedes or Germans or Norwegian people.
Yeah, I mean, there's lots of different things I feel like you could do. Like, maybe you can use like your like you have a little bit of traction on YouTube, so maybe it's easier for you to find Swedish YouTuber.
Yeah.
That could use it, or maybe you can maybe you could like try to do an interview with a Swedish podcaster.
Yeah, there's something there.
Or
Yeah.
like there's just lots of different like angles you could do just to sort of get on the radar on some Swedish people, because
Yeah.
I really don't feel like you need a lot. And if it's working in Denmark, there's a pretty good chance that like if they just hear about it, some of them will give it a try.
Yeah, hopefully, yeah.
That's at least what you want to know,
That's
right?
my hope. That's my hope
Yeah.
that it's that
So just
takes,
like what could you do to like get on the radar of some Swedish content
Yeah.
creators?
a bunch of things.
And then inviting them on a podcast or a YouTube video interview, or make like fun of them, or you could recreate some of the. There's a lot of like Swedish comedy where they just make fun of how they think Danish sound.
Yeah, it's the
Or maybe
famous
it's
Norwegian
Norwegian.
Kameloso video.
Yeah. So maybe you could just like lean into some of that, or I
Yeah,
don't know,
maybe there's something there.
use AI to recreate that.
Like there's never been, I mentioned this to a friend yesterday, there's never been a better time to like present yourself as like an EU alternative to American shit.
No.
Like it's
Nope.
just the valley
People
is
are buying
getting deeper and
The
deeper.
Danish
between
brand
us.
Jolly Cola, which
Yeah.
is like the
They had
worst.
a 13 multiple increase in sales in
And
one
it's terrible.
chain. Yeah, it's
They're
not
gonna
found
pry
out.
this out of my cold dead hands.
But people are boycotting this, and is tapped by Carlsberg in Copenhagen, in Valby.
Yeah.
So they aren't really hurting the Americans. Yeah,
That's
that's
so funny.
that's a wild time to be alive. Have you looked at your stocks today? If you
Nope.
have any? No. I think you should just keep on not looking today.
I actually have one more update. If you don't have anything else.
Yeah, sure.
I redid my talk on Cursor at the Laravel meetup.
Oh yeah.
and it went much better
Nice.
than the first time.
Nice. So was it
So
just because the internet worked, or because you
no, it's because
changed
I redid
stuff?
the talk and I turned its weaknesses into its strength, and uh, I actually kind of did that because I just like tried to think like how could like one of the things that didn't work was like the I was building an app from scratch, and part of it was because I wanted to make sure that I also showed that like sometimes you could just like give it a prompt and it'll just like build the whole thing, and it's like cool. But in order to like build all I had to build, I had to be pretty lucky with everything like sort of going well, and it was sequential, so I could never like switch to the next thing before it actually worked. So I changed that, but then the thing I did, I feel like I kind of found like a funny twist at the end. So I had like slides, and then I did the demo, and the demo was more of like I'm do something here, and then I'll do something over here, and then finally I'll do something here.
Right.
So if something was slow, I could have, in theory, just like skipped and switched to the next thing. But then in the end, I was like, I had the other slides at the end where I talk about will developers have a job in the future, and that part I didn't even have time to do at the first meetup because I ran out of time. But then I was like, okay, finally, I told you this talk wasn't about vibe coding, but we're still gonna just do we're gonna still try some vibe coding. So before I switch back to my slides, let's just. So I built this app that's for managing your domain names. A list, you put in a domain name and it parses the whois data with AI and then lists all your domain names. And then um, I I was like, okay, so before I switch back to my slides, I'll just tell Cursor one more thing. And I just said, make it possible to edit domain names. And it's like, there's no opinions. I'm not saying like create a new page, use a modal, like nothing like that. It's just make it possible to edit domain names. And it can actually mean different things. It's like, should you just edit the name and then it does a new whois lookup? Or should you be able to actually change the whois records? And I found that like 50% of the time it worked and 50% of the time it didn't work.
Mm.
And it's okay because then I do the part of the talk that's like, well, we have a job in the future, and then when I'm done with the slides, I'm like, oh yeah, we need to check if it worked, the one-shot prompt we just did, and then I go back, and then either it worked or it didn't work, and it's kind of ties into will we have a job in the future or not. So I think it worked, and I think people like the talk, and it's been really nice because now I don't stress about it because I'm doing it at the Laravel Live London conference in 2 months.
Oh yeah.
Now I kind of feel like I could just like a couple of weeks in advance, I'll just make sure everything still sort of works and looks good, and the talk is kind of ready.
Yeah. There'll
Yeah.
be a new
So
Anthropic model and cursor version and everything
oh yeah.
just 2 days before.
Yep. I'm sure that's been what's happened so far at least.
Great.
Yep.
All right, but that's nice. That's a better way. Sounds like.
Yep.
I think maybe that's
Okay.
where Apple is has hit it wrong with their Apple Intelligence. They were talking about this on the ATP podcast. How like you just have to think different about problem solving when LLMs are involved because you just can't be sure about the output. So like you can have a thing that works 80% of the time, but there's just like not necessarily a way to get it the last 20%. Like you can't just like go in crunch mode over a weekend and then expect the 20% to like get squashed. It's like maybe that's just the limitation that it can only work 80% of the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very interesting. All right, were
Keep
those
it
the
short and
updates?
sweet.
Great. Well, I'll talk to you next week, hopefully, or in a
Yeah.
month.
Or in a month, who knows? Or in a year.
We'll
Or
see.
never again.
All
All
right,
right.
Peter.
See you later.
Bye bye.